Alright y'all, back to the conclusion of this video, which will be the bulk of this video because I'm sure that Get Ready With Me was trash. But again, I just thought it was a good intro, good little get started, and for you to get to know how I came to be a coach, because I do think that coaches should have coaches. I even have a whole video on why coaches have coaches. It's really important that if you are interested in being a coach, that you experience what it's like to be a client. Experience what it's like to be a client so you can know what your expectations are of the paying customer, along with what you expect to receive from a coach for what you're paying. We'll get into price in a second for coaching, but the T, if body type and age have a factor in choosing your coach. And the answer is yes, unfortunately. It does stink that that is a factor. And the reason why I can say that I believe it's a factor is because I have experienced it firsthand. As a coach in contest prep, I get far more inquiries for coaching because I am lean and shredded and looking gnarly. That's just point blank. I've done it. I've been here. I've done it for 8+ years. And whenever I'm lean and shredded, everybody wants to work with me. When I'm living my actual life, in fact, my best life, my most balanced life, is when inquiries start to come down. If I'm in a reverse diet and I'm still slightly lean, you can still see some vascularity in me, still get the inquiries coming in. It's once I get to a point where I might be fighting hormonal dysfunction and I've added 15 to 20 pounds to my physique. Fortunately, I haven't found myself in that place this post season. So fortunately, I'm only about 10 pounds over my stage weight. That was my choice this time. I obviously am not planning to gain any more. I don't want to add any more muscle mass to my frame. So therefore, I don't need to gain any more weight, so to speak. We're not going to get into that this video, but I do feel that my influx of clients has been very steady now because I have managed it. Like I said in the past, when I haven't managed my body fat regain and due to hormonal dysfunction, I gained more weight than I really ideally wanted. It definitely hurt my business, and my business always skyrockets when I'm in prep. And it always strikes me as interesting because I have to limit the amount of clients that I can have for myself when I'm in prep. I don't have the bandwidth. I don't have the capacity. And I've also experienced being a client of coaches who are in prep, and their bandwidth is definitely limited. So it's this weird like dichotomy of like finding that balance of like being an advocate of a balanced lifestyle as a coach and a balanced mindset and good habits towards food and dining out, and then also being lean and shredded and getting all your inquiries. So I think it does come down to age playing a role into it. For me, age was a big factor. I had a younger coach first, and I did feel that experience started to show. I think just life experience started to show, and I started to see I was older than my first coach. So therefore I decided that I would seek out maybe somebody older than me. Also from a mentorship perspective, I wanted to learn from somebody who had been in the industry far longer than me. So again, Jason fit that mold really well in terms of functional work as well and being a pioneer. But if you can see that trending theme is that kind of both were pioneers in their own right. Both were like up and coming in what they were promoting and what they were teaching and educating their following on. So do I think age should be a consideration? Kind of, I do. I'm just going to be honest. I'm one of the old farts in the industry, and I know that. I'm 36 years old. I've been coaching since 2012. I've been here for a long time. I've got a good amount of life experience. But I remember what it was like when I was 25 and 27. And I remember how I didn't quite communicate due to lacking life experience than some of my actual clients. So I put myself back in when I was 25 and 26 and 27, and the ways I was communicating to my 35 and 45-year-old clients, I think is drastically different than now being 35 and communicating to my 35-year-old clients and 45-year-old clients. So I do think a demographic can come into play when it comes to age as well. Obviously being 35, the majority of my clients are somewhere between 28 and I would say all the way up to 60 years old. So I've extended my age demographic by aging myself. All right, similar goals. I think this is some bullshit if you ask me. Your coach should not have to have the same goals as you. That's weird. Why? You should have individual goals from your coach. Do you think that my goals ever aligned with what Matt Jansen's or Scooby or Jason's goals were. They're both dudes. Why do you guys have to have similar goals? People said that that was something that they needed. And I'm gonna call bullshit on that. Like, I don't know if you just wanna look like your coach or what, but like, you shouldn't want to also look like your coach. You should want to optimize how you can potentially look, not how your coach can potentially look or how your coach is striving to look. Maybe in their preferred style of training or preferred style of nutrition coaching, sure, but I still don't think those align with goals. Like, I think that's more of a coaching archetype. Okay, so similar mindsets. I agree that similar mindsets and similar views on life could be an aligning characteristic between a client and a coach. Obviously, you guys know that I'm a huge advocate of finding a balance within your life before chasing a deficit. So, and I've done this because it's brought me so much joy and so much immense success dieting when I find this space and time where I get to just kind of live my life. My body reduces stress, my body reduces inflammation, I feel better, I communicate better, I live better, like literally live my life better. And then when I choose to diet, I'm far more successful because I had that time frame. So that mindset and the way that I advocate that to all my clients has really shaped how my potential clients approach their intake process. They want to experience that. They want to do dieting the right way for them. They want to do dieting successfully. They don't want to keep their wheels spinning and spinning. So I do believe that the way that you communicate and the mindset that you have as a coach can translate over into the type of mindset that your clients or prospective clients also either garnish or are wanting to evolve into. All right, communication strategies. You guys mentioned communication strategies as being a huge player in your choice in coach. And I would argue that this is probably one of the most important characteristics in choosing a coach, because you have to understand their communication tactics and strategies. You have to be able to comprehend what they're dishing out. And I see this time and time and again from coaches that try to speak over their clients instead of speaking to their clients. There's a huge difference in what I know and how I've processed all that intellectual information and how I regurgitate it to my clients. I can't tell them exactly what I read in my research papers or research documents. I have to communicate it to them in an easily digestible way. So that's one of my biggest pet peeves, is when a coach is speaking over their audience on Instagram or trying to make themselves sound more intelligent than their average listener, because that gives them more notoriety or it gives them more affluence or whatever. But essentially, you're speaking so far over people's heads and so quickly that people can't absorb what you're actually putting out into the universe. Communication is absolutely critical. I have a note here in this communication is also being able to speak to your client and meet your client in where they're at in the learning process. So don't try to speak 5 and 10 steps ahead of them when they're still not mastering step 1 and step 2. Too much foreshadowing is often a sales ploy in communication, and I don't like that because it puts the client at a confusion of what really needs to be tackled first and foremost before we can even get to these other future steps. Our next piece, education over number of followers. I think we can all agree that education or seeking out your own resources as a coach and educating yourself should always trump followers. Granted, there are some phenomenal coaches out there now who do have large following, but they built their following off of their education or the education that they are delivering. But now, obviously, you look at Matt Jansen, he has a huge following now because he has a huge amount of results and he is an Olympian level coach. So of course he's gonna have a large following just by nature of what he's accomplished. So there's a little bit of a caveat there in that, followings can be built over this long period of time. But overall, the education that a coach puts out typically indicates their level of education personally and their desire to continue their education. Whether that's to continue to produce content or whatnot, either way, they're still filling their brain with more education. And so education should, again, always be something that you look into and what a coach is actually spitting out to you versus what that little number is at the top of the screen. Education and experience over a number of followers. Next thing is contact availability. So you guys mentioned really wanting to be able to connect and contact and have your coach available to you. And I will say, if this is an important thing for you, you do want to seek out a coach who advocates a smaller client roster, or they actually promote themselves that they have a smaller client roster. I can speak from experience on this. I am a coach who is available, and I do have an open doors policy with all of my clients. They can email me, and I do promise that as long as there's not extraneous reason, that they will hear from me within 24 hours. Now, there's a caveat there, obviously, is if I'm traveling, or if it's not their check-in day, or if, you know, extraneous circumstances within my life do not permit me to be able to answer your email right away. I try to get through my inbox by the end of the day with my coaching email. So, contact and availability are going to be dependent upon how many clients the coach has. I'm just going to leave it at that. If a coach has bukus of clients, it's going to be really hard for them to promise you that they can get back to you on not your check-in day earlier or faster than 24 hours. And it just has to do with the rate and their work-life balance. I will say, for me, when I have too many clients and my work-life balance is skewed, I find myself really bogged down by committing to the contact and availability open door policy that I do have with my email. So in order for me to have a healthy work-life balance, still be able to offer an open door email policy, I personally have to keep a lower client roster for myself and my own mental health. Now, last but not least, we still have one more after this, is reputation and results. All right, results speak for themselves. I agree. If a coach is producing great results, and they're showcasing their progress pictures of their clients, odds are they're producing for their clients. There's a caveat to that too, is that coaches are also notorious for sharing old progress pictures of clients repeatedly over and over and over again. So you're seeing the same client, you're seeing the same progress, and they are likely an outlier on their coaching roster. So what an outlier on a coaching roster is somebody who was going to be a hyper responder, fast responder, almost, you know, regardless of what coach got a hold of them. And that's not to discredit hyper responders or first time responders to coaching, but they exist. Human bodies that are hyper responders exist in this realm of coaching, in the spectrum of coaching. And so, yes, there are some cases where a coach gets a hyper responder and they promote the shit out of them. Not to discredit the effort of the client at all, or the effort of the coach. Be cautious of seeing the same image with a different message or a different way of disseminating that message over the course of time multiplied. And again, so just look with a fine-tooth comb. One of my favorite things that coaches love to do is a low-rise bikini bottom on a female, or a low-rise undergarment with a high-rise bikini bottom and a high-rise undergarment next. It's totally deceiving to the eyes, and it's just like, wow. I see it the most in booty progress photos. They do like the low-cut one, and then they're like, oop, jack it up, let's put it over the hip bones. And now our waist appears smaller and our glutes appear larger. Take ownership of what you're viewing on a photo and look at it with a fine-tooth comb, and just be cautious of the results images that you are consuming. And also, weight loss or fat loss results shouldn't be the only thing driving you to that coach. If they only show that and they don't show other phases of a client, or they don't educate you on the dietary phase that that client is in when they showcase that image, or what that client did, again, consume that with a grain of salt, because you don't know the context of that image. And I really, really encourage you to seek out coaches that are showcasing other aspects of coaching, not just weight loss, not just fat loss, but other aspects. Are they showcasing their training footage of clients? Are they showcasing their testimonials? Actual words that these clients have written, and God forbid, I hope people don't fake those, but maybe they do. Last thing, the T. Let's talk about price, y'all. Let's talk about price. One, I'm not going to tell you my price of coaching here. If you're interested in my price of coaching, you can apply in the description box below. That is not what this is about. What this is about is industry standard and what you can expect to see and what you can expect to pay for within the industry. So I'm going to give you a large industry average price range. So for training and nutrition coaching, This is going to be probably the most comprehensive style of coaching. What I would recommend a new person to coaching actually dive into, which is having kind of the coach take care of all the variables. That would include cardio as well. So in our coaching team, that program is called the Total Athlete Program. It's our foundation program. It's definitely where we, like I said, recommend new clients joining in on our roster. But it's not someplace that you should ever feel like you have to expect to stay in. You shouldn't be having to feel like you're not going to gain a sense of autonomy. So we won't go into that process either. But again, this all-encompassing your cardio, your nutrition, your training, everything in one, your price range is going to look somewhere between $200 to $400 per month. I would say that there's probably even some coaches out there charging more than $400 per month. No, maybe one or two. So I'm, again, not going to put that in the average. Like I said, the average is probably within this $200 to $400 per month price range. If you think about that, though, that is you getting a plan for 7 days out of your week. That means 30 days out of your month. You are paying $200 to $400. So per day, you can kind of break it down in either of these hands here. We'll say 200 in this hand, 400 in this hand per day you're getting, but you have your plan for every single day. Understand that if you're paying 400 or more per month, you might be on a lower coaching roster, meaning this coach over here in the $400 price range doesn't stack 50 to 100 to 200 plus clients. I don't know why they would. Because one, they couldn't offer you that open door policy, most likely, unless they're working themselves to the bone. All right, so if you're paying $400 a month, you're probably going to have a lower roster. You're going to have a smaller team, but you're going to have more intimate connection with that coach. Most likely you're probably going to be offered consult calls, open door email policy, shoot, maybe even like exercise, like there can be like so much offered to you, free guides, free workouts. Like in this price point, a lot, these coaches are offering a lot for that price point. And then you have your $200 coaches, $200 or less per month if they're offering you training and nutrition. That you're probably going to be one of more than 100 clients on that roster. So with that comes also less communication, probably shorter communication, meaning shorter emails, maybe no voice memos, maybe no video execution help for, sending over your video footage. I'm just saying you're going to be a little bit more limited in your access to your coach, your communication from your coach, but you're going to have a bigger team. You might want that camaraderie. You might want a huge, really active Facebook community and Facebook group. You may want a voluminous library of, workouts that the coach just kind of attaches. You're not really maybe getting a custom routine. You're probably just getting a volume of here's your 7-day training. They may not even be saying, hey, maybe you could go up and weight here, maybe go down and weight here, maybe strive for a PR this week. I think you've got it. They're just maybe regurgitating like a couple of their training logs that have been really successful and productive, or they've pre-written out training. So then you're having to come back and say, hey, I think I need to modify this. Hey, I think I need to subtract this, or I'm injured. Can you write me a new program? And then the coach is like, I guess. Just maybe not getting as much tailored opportunity, tailored communication. You're probably not getting quick communication either when it's 200 and below. By what I've learned as a client myself, as somebody who's really interested in the trends of the industry and what's going on, and going to multiple coaching seminars. So yeah, so these are just kind of my, like I said, little bubbles here. It's like I said, 200 per month, 400 per month. Between my team, we fall here in the middle. We're not the most expensive. We're not the least expensive. Obviously, from a head coach perspective, a head coach like myself in a team is going to be more expensive per month than an assistant coach. You might have the benefit of being on a really, really large team with a really, really well-known head coach and be at a lower price point. So again, you have to do your homework. You have to consider maybe doing a couple consults. Do what you can to get communication from them before you choose to be their coach. Are they answering your direct messages on Instagram? Are they actually answering an email when an inquiry comes through? I think most coaches at this point are doing really a lot better with their answering inquiries. Sometimes it was like if you didn't have openings, you just didn't answer your inquiries at all. I think the trend now in the industry is to answer even if you don't have availability, but to actually answer those people, and so you can continue to keep that relationship moving forward. I don't hear much about people not getting responses at all when it comes to inquiring for coaching. But do your due diligence as a paying customer. You are the paying customer here. You're the client. You're the paying customer. Get what you deserve and what you want out of a coaching relationship. And if you're not getting that, communicate that to the coach. Personally, I do departure questionnaires. I want to know what it was like for you to be on our team. I want to know if I can improve my mentorship with my assistant coaches at any and all costs to improving our client retention or improving our client experience. Every single business online wants reviews. They want to hear what their people think about them. So if I devise a list of my top things that would help me in selecting my coach, one would be client progress, retention, and reviews. So this doesn't just include progress photos, but includes their rate of retention, how long their clients work with them, the success of those clients, and the testimonials of those clients. And I would also cross-reference and make sure they're as realistic as they're as real as possible. I try to work with coaches who work with similar body types to me, meaning I want to see that they can work with my type of body type, not just get a lean person even leaner. Get my drift? Communication, how often I can speak with them, whether or not they're going to answer my emails within a certain time frame are big and important to me. Their education and life experience. Education and chasing continuing education and life experience are big for me. I don't want somebody who just stares at their computer all day long. I want somebody who's diving into continuing education, who's not just in the trenches with their clients, but also working and doing things to better our industry, not just typing client programs. I found myself in this trap and it didn't make me a better coach. Decreasing my client roster, expanding my team, making myself more available to my clients, but more available to learn and more available to go to seminars and increase my bandwidth for this industry made me a better coach. So again, I've been in that wheelhouse of more clients, more clients, more clients, and it didn't make me a better coach. Yes, it helped me with troubleshooting. I figured out a bunch of different troubleshooting pathways because I had so many more clients to work with to experience all these different things, but then I had to kick it back a notch a little bit and open up my bandwidth. And that wraps up this video on how to select a coach and main things to consider when purchasing a coaching program online. Shameless plug, if you are interested in my coaching team, definitely hit that description box below. Send over your application. We'll get on a consult call as soon as possible. Be sure to check your spam folder as well after you send that over, because sometimes my email can end up in there as well. Thank you guys so much for submitting your responses to this plaguing question on my Instagram. I hope to create a lot more content like this for you guys this year in regards to what it is that you guys want to know about coaching, about training, about nutrition. So stay tuned for more videos. Hit that thumbs up so I know that you liked this video. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video from me. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Ever since my birthday was the bomb, and now I'm detonating. No, you can't relate. You just can't relate. Every day I wake up like a boss, and I be thinking Jesus fake is trying to